Bon is the source of the Tibetan culture. So to preserve the Tibetan culture, they have to preserve the Bon tradition and Bon culture.
The Bon tradition is an example for the world today of how a religion that is based on kindness and gentleness can persist for many, many millennia and can be used as an example by the world today of how a culture should conduct itself.
Bon Shen Ling is the place and it is the land, it is the gathering place for the Bon practitioner, which is the Bon means compassionate teaching. We lost our country, and my teacher, who is the His Holiness of the Bon, and my teacher, other Loben Tenzin Namda, they sacrificed their life for the Bon. To learn Tibetan culture, to preserve the Tibetan culture, without Bon, there's no way to preserve Tibetan culture. As I have a lot of knowledge about the Bon teaching, so I have something responsible in this world because I belong from Bon, so I have a responsible to introduce Bon teaching in the world.
Founded in ancient Tibet, Bon remains one of the oldest continued religious practices in the world. During the middle of the 20th century, the Bon traditions were severely threatened during the Cultural Revolution in Tibet. Bon monks in exile were forced to establish a new location for the head of their religion. His Holiness, the 33rd Abbot of Menri, resides at Menri Monastery in Dolonji, a small Indian town in the foothills of the Himalayas. The abbot conducts the daily business of the monastery and remains the spiritual leader of the Bon, presiding over 300 Bon monks and nuns. In addition to the monastery, Menri is a refuge for approximately 350 Bon children whose numbers increase each year. The children, some of whom are orphaned, are sent to Menri from poor regions in the borderlands of Tibet and Nepal for their sustenance and education. All children, including the young monks and nuns, attend school together at the Central School for Tibetans. Situated in the valley below the monastery, the school is run by the Indian government and provides education through the 10th grade. Upon completion of the 10th grade, these young Bon may decide to continue their studies as monks or nuns in the monastery or nunnery. But there is little opportunity for those looking to pursue a higher education at a university or college. One of Menri Monastery's most respected monks, Chongtul Rinpoche, has a vision of bringing the sacred teachings of Bon to the world. As a holder of the Geshe degree, Chongtul Rinpoche is one of only a few monks to offer Bon's spiritual guidance to those outside of the monastery.
In the future, what is my vision is, I want to bring a real Tibetan Bon teaching in this world, in the way of the Tibetan ethnic Bon teaching way.
With Chongtul Rinpoche as the spiritual leader, Bon Shen Ling was founded to preserve and share ancient Tibetan teachings from an unbroken lineage.
In response to the need of the Tibetan Bon refugee community, both inside and outside of Tibet, in 2006, Bon Shen Ling incorporated as a 501c3 organization We work collaboratively with other organizations, public, private, and nonprofit, to develop projects and initiatives that help preserve this culture and meet current need. Outside of the U.S., particularly in India, Nepal, and Mongolia, there are large refugee populations. For over 50 years, these groups have worked to maintain their traditions and build sustainable communities, but it has not been easy.
The problem for the Tibetan students is that they are refugees. Now, that means that they have refugee status, which means non-citizenship status, and therefore very little rights in India or in the other countries where they are exiled. And because of this, we felt that creation of a fund that would help educate Bön children and to integrate them into the modern world would be of great benefit to the entire Bön community worldwide.
In the spring of 2010, Shen Ling collaborated with the Rhode Island School of Design Department of Architecture to undertake an advanced architecture studio to consider the feasibility of building an academic complex in Dharamsala, India.
The Bon Votech School will initially house 60 students. The school will offer studies in traditional Tibetan arts, such as tanka painting and sculpture, alongside more contemporary computer courses and other commerce skills. Offering young Bon the tools needed for success in today's world is essential to both the young Bon children and the culture as a whole.
With the occupation of Tibet, many Bon monasteries have been destroyed, along with the texts that they housed. Over the last 8 to 10 years, individuals within Tibet have spirited these texts out of Tibet for safekeeping at the Menri Monastery. We have been working with the Menri Monastery to gather, transcribe, and then translate and digitize into English ancient religious texts. As more Westerners become interested in Bon, and the freedoms within Tibet remain fragile, Shen Ling is compelled to consider the need for a culture center within the U.S. We envision this complex as one that will offer a window into the Tibetan Bon culture and traditions. Preserving Bon is not just about saving an indigenous culture. It is about providing all of us with the opportunity to experience and learn from a culture that has persevered for thousands of years. Within its 18,000-year oral history lies the knowledge of the value of kindness, gentleness, and compassion. In order for us all to deal with strife and conflict, it's imperative that we understand the essence of each human being. The Tibetan people and the Bon embody that knowledge and offer it to the world.